I'm Jen Cox with the Suburban newspaper. Now, what would you do if you had 4 children, 3 of whom were diagnosed with a genetic disorder that would mean that they would eventually lose their sight? They decided to fill their child's visual library by traveling the world and making a family bucket list of all the things they wanted to see. The National Geographic Channel profiled their trip in an original documentary called Blink. Here's what their parents had to say.
I'm a mom, and I went through every emotion you could imagine. I had my box of Kleenex. It was so moving. And I just have to tell you, you have such eloquent, insightful children. The observations and things that they came out with. I mean, we all think our kids are, but really, I mean, again, I just teared up watching them. You've raised amazing children. You've done such a good job, really.
Thank you so much. But I want to reassure you, like they kept the best part. But
yeah, they're normal jokes.
They say a lot of silly things as well.
I love it. I love your little one when you said he's the weird child and he wanted to drink. Was he the one that wanted to drink juice on the camera? No,
that's the last one, yeah.
Yeah.
I just love that they each had their own unique spin on their requests and stuff like that. It's just amazing. So how are the kids doing right now?
They're doing fine.
Yeah.
Vision wise, like it's good because the degenerescence is slow, so we see it like on the scan, but on their daily life they don't see it yet. So we're really glad that it's a slow
process,
slow decrease,
slow
progression.
Okay.
And they're back at school and they're super happy to be with friends and enjoy the daily life in Montreal.
I guess you get asked this a lot, but was there one particular place that really stood out of the entire trip? Was there one place that really resonated with you guys as a family?
Yeah, they did. There's one in particular, and well, there's many. If you ask, each kid, they're going to have a different answer. But there's, I think Nepal, the country in general, but specifically, we went into a small town called Gormu, not even on Google Maps. It's and we really bonded. We stayed there almost a week, and just the connection was incredible. Not only you're in incredible scenery, incredibly nice people, but the connection we were able to make there was just completely incredible. So and we're at Christmas we called them and we were on video and they were crying, so happy to talk to us. So these are just moments that you try to capture and keep them in your heart. So for us, that was really a highlight amongst many, I would say.
Yeah, of course.
Every time you ask the kids, they'll have a different
thing. I was gonna say. So my next question would be, this was a very emotional thing for just you as a family. Now to invite a camera crew, that adds a whole nother layer of logistics and might even sort of interrupt if you're trying to have a moment and then all of a sudden they slip in with the camera or mic. How did you guys balance that family travel and having intimate moments, but then at the same time sharing it with a crew? Like how did you find that balance?
Well, the thing is, they were not there the entire trip. They came like four times during the trip for a few weeks. So it was out of a year. It was very short moments. And actually traveling, being in our own bubble with our family for so long, it was actually great to have like other adults to come on the trip. And with the kids, like the relationship with the kids and the crew was amazing. So for them, we
were fortunate to have, a great crew. That was one of our doubt when we started this, is like, what is it going to be with the crew? But it ended up
it was amazing.
Why did you decide to document this? How did this even come about that they were aware of it? How did that sort of come about?
They being the kids, or documenting
the crew? Like how did how did they know that you guys were doing this ahead of time? Like how did it all kind of come together?
It wasn't ahead of time. They contacted, like our story started to go on the media like at the beginning of the trip, and there was an article in the Guardian, I think, that was,
so it started with like a local coverage thing that kind of just
exactly.
It was it was the end of the pandemic. So yeah, it was they're like, oh, there's a family, it's still the pandemic, but there's a family that's traveling the world. So that's kind of started with these local news, and then it just grew and grew and grew, and
it went all over the world. It was just crazy.
At some point, CNN published an article, and then people started contacting us. So, we didn't even sign up for a documentary before mid-trip. So it's not something we kind of planned out and said, well, we'll go find, it more came to us than.
Yeah, and we're like, and a lot of people reach out to us and we're like, okay, do we want to do this? Like, if we do, who do we choose? How? We don't know anything about movies or that industry, but we thought it would make a great, our first thought, it was, oh, it's going to make a great family memories. To me, a documentary is always a little film that nobody really sees. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But we never expected it to be that big. But at the same time,
I think once this comes out, I think it's going to go like wildfire. I think like people are going to just, everybody I've mentioned it to that I was doing the interview, they already heard about you. They already knew the story. So yeah, this is just, it's going to be really solidified. What do you kind of hope the outcome is of it?
I'm just so glad, like, people that have seen the movie, we feel so fortunate that we've been able to do this trip. It was such an amazing experience for us to be able to share it with people and to have other people benefit from what we've been through. It's just, we're so glad.
Yeah, I think we're trying to, and why we've kept, being on social media and things like that, where we're trying to give a positive message of, it's not because there's a dire situation that, there's nothing you can do about it. Do it at your own level and just go out and we needed to be in the action. So that was our way to cope with it. But everybody that has something can do it at their own level, in their own way. And I think that's really the message is, control what you can and make the best of it.
Oh my gosh, when you guys were stuck in that cable car, I didn't breathe for that entire scene. And then they kept flashing forward and it was still dark. And I was like, they're still in there. They're still in there. That was so stressful. Oh my gosh. How long were you in there in the end?
10 hours.
10 hours until 2 o'clock in the morning.
2:30 in the morning, yeah.
I know. And when the little guy started getting physically sick and you're just like, again, as a parent, like I would have watched it through completely different eyes had I not been a mom, but I have an 11-year-old. And like, yeah, you guys are also the calmest parents. Like you are just so chill about stuff. It was amazing. I want to say that the one scene where you guys were sitting in the sand, it was you and Mia, and you were talking to her about how to remember the sunsets and the different colors and the feels. That must be a really tricky thing to navigate as parents as well, getting them prepared. But that footage of teaching them how they're going to have to work with the dog possibly, or walk with the sea. Are you constantly having to do that? Is that becoming more, I don't want to say normal, but everybody's kind of acclimating to this new life?
Like we do it, but it's still far. And it's like the trip was a way to do that for the kids, to prepare them, and it prepared them a lot more than we thought it would be, to be resilient. With like the resilience they got from the trip is going to be really
going through all this situation. If you can make it parallel, it's some, they're going to have challenges and they're going to have to find solutions and they're going to have to move ahead. So, in our own way and for what we control, that's a way to teach them how to be resilient and to adapt to the situation. And, we've had all these different situations, good or bad, during the trip. And
so we do it, but we try not to, like, it's just a little, because we don't want to keep reminding them that. Yeah. So like sometimes it happens, we do it like the Disney movie, we did it throughout the trip, but most of the time we just want them to enjoy it as much as we can. So we do it more on the background without them knowing it, because we don't want to keep reminding them what's coming.
And it's going to pop up, Laurent popping these questions or saying he's going to invent a machine to cure the disease and things like that. So it's part of, it's not a planned thing where it just happens to be a subject that pops up, at dinner or something like that. So,
but you handle it so eloquently. You handle it so eloquently, the way that you explain things, and they look to you for cues for things. And even in those most stressful moments, you guys just like keep your cool. And I think because
outside, outside.
Oh, no, I'm giving you all the credit. Take it. You don't let it show. Let's put it that way. You know, when a kid falls and we go, ah, and then they start to cry, or they would have just you guys keep a very good poker face, I have to say. And you don't look too worried. And I'm thinking in my head, I would be losing my mind. So anyway. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. Your story was unbelievably moving, and I will be telling anybody and everybody to watch this documentary. I wish you guys the absolute best, and yeah, thank you so much for giving me the time. This interview's meant a lot to me, so thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.